Caitlin Clark return is sooner rather than later. Could that be why we did not see Caitlin come back? I mean, we did not see Caitlin travel with the team this past week. I don't know.
What if I told you that one single player just confirmed news so big it could rewrite the entire future of women's basketball? Caitlin Clark has finally broken her silence. The comeback fans have been begging for is officially happening. But here's the twist. This isn't just a story about a star athlete returning from injury. It's about a gamble so massive that it could either save her legacy or destroy everything she's built. Because behind the headlines and highlight reels is a truth nobody's saying out loud. Caitlin's return isn't guaranteed glory. It's a razor's edge between greatness and collapse. And once you hear what's really at stake, you'll understand why this comeback has the entire WNBA holding its breath. Caitlin Clark's season was supposed to be about dominance. Instead, it turned into survival. It started with groin issues, nagging pain that pulled her off the court just when her team needed her most. Fans told themselves it was temporary. But then came August, and the story took a darker turn. A bone bruise in her ankle picked up during solo training shattered any certainty about when or even if she'd return. The timeline went from murky to unpredictable overnight. Insiders whispered doubts. Was she being rushed? Was she even being protected properly by the team? Fans went from cheering highlight reels to dissecting every cryptic update like detectives searching for clues. And the silence around her only made things worse, because while her body fought to heal, the WNBA was already beginning to feel the ripple effects of her absence. But this was just the beginning. What came next made everyone realize Caitlin's comeback was about much more than just injuries. For the Indiana Fever, losing Caitlin wasn't just bad luck, it was catastrophic. Their guard depth collapsed around her. Ari McDonald sidelined, Julie Colson out, Sophie Cunningham hurt. Suddenly, the team wasn't playing for dominance, they were just fighting to survive. Ticket sales began slipping. Ratings that had skyrocketed with Caitlin's arrival dipped. Broadcasters scrambled to keep fans engaged. And for the first time in years, the WNBA felt the full weight of depending too heavily on one player's star power. Every coach interview became a guessing game. Every vague statement about progressing or no timeline yet set social media ablaze with speculation. Fans flooded comment sections with one desperate question: when is Caitlin coming back? And yet the team's struggle wasn't the full story, because as Indiana limped toward the finish line, Caitlin's silence created a frenzy that spread far beyond basketball. This wasn't just an injury anymore. It was a storyline dominating sports media. Commentators debated daily, should Caitlin sit out the season to fully heal? Or did the Fever have no chance at the playoffs without her? Rival players even weighed in. Sophie Cunningham, speaking through her own frustration as an injured guard, made it blunt. Almost ready doesn't cut it at this level. Was it a warning? A jab? Or a challenge? Nobody knew. But one thing was clear. The Caitlin Clark saga had become bigger than the game. Every tweet, every insider leak, every cryptic hint from Coach Stephanie White turned into headline news. Social media lit up like wildfire. Analysts speculated her return could flip playoff dynamics overnight. Rival fans braced themselves. And sponsors? They hovered, waiting for a sign of when to go all in again. But in the middle of this noise, fans remembered something. The last time Caitlin came back from injury, she didn't just play, she made history. When people talk about Caitlin Clark's impact, they don't just mention her scoring ability. They talk about moments. And one moment in particular stands out like a neon sign in basketball history. The night she returned from injury and faced the New York Liberty. It was a game most experts thought Indiana had no shot at winning. The Liberty were undefeated, stacked with talent, and the Fever were limping into the matchup. Analysts expected a blowout, fans braced for disappointment, and even some loyal supporters said the best Caitlin could do was ease herself back slowly. But Caitlin Clark didn't ease in. She detonated. 32 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 7 three-pointers that ripped through the air like daggers. Each shot didn't just score points, it sucked the energy out of the Liberty and lit the crowd on fire. Commentators were left speechless as the game slipped out of New York's control, and when the final buzzer sounded, the Liberty's undefeated streak was over. But the numbers weren't even the full story. What really shook the world was the way she carried herself. Confident, fearless, like she'd never been injured at all. Social media didn't just talk about the win, it erupted. Hashtags with her name trended globally. Clips of her threes looped endlessly on Instagram and TikTok, and then came the validation that turned her performance from legendary to historic. NBA icons weighed in. LeBron James himself jumped on X, simply writing, "CC effect, welcome back." Those 3 words sealed it. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a WNBA player, she was a global phenomenon. That night became the measuring stick. Every fan, every analyst, every critic has asked the same question ever since. Can she do it again? Or was that a once-in-a-lifetime explosion that she'll never replicate? For weeks, Caitlyn's status was a guessing game. Fans clung to tiny scraps of information. An Instagram story here, a sideline photo there. Coach Stephanie White's interviews were combed through like classified documents, every vague word about progress treated as a coded message. And then, piece by piece, the silence cracked. First came whispers from insiders. Caitlyn was back in live practices. Teammates hinted that she looked sharp. Then, local reporters claimed she'd circled late August for her return. Finally, the confirmation hit. Caitlin Clark was preparing to step back onto the court. The reaction was instant chaos. Within minutes, Caitlin Clark's comeback was trending across social platforms. Some fans celebrated with crying emojis, fire symbols, and all-caps posts about redemption. Others were cautious, warning that rushing her back could risk everything. ESPN anchors debated it like a playoff series. One analyst declared, "This isn't just a return. This is the moment the entire season hinges on." Rival players rolled their eyes publicly, but privately, you could feel the tension. Nobody wanted to be the team on the receiving end of her comeback game. And then, the business side hit. Ticket resellers hiked prices overnight. Games that were once easy to grab seats for suddenly became sellouts. Fever merchandise sales spiked. Broadcasters scrambled to rearrange storylines, prepping graphics, highlight packages, and hype reels. But confirmation didn't calm the storm. It made it louder, because now the question wasn't if she was coming back, it was when. Insiders threw out dates: the 22nd, the 24th, the 26th. Each upcoming matchup became the one. Every press conference was watched live. Fans began refreshing feeds like they were waiting for breaking news on election night. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. This was an event. Here's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. Caitlin Clark is bigger than one team. She's bigger than one season. She's become the WNBA's heartbeat. When she's on the court, arenas sell out. Jersey sales skyrocket. National broadcasts suddenly feel like can't-miss events. When she sits, the league feels the void instantly. Ratings slip. Ticket markets flatten. Storylines lose their spark. That's why her return is so much heavier than just getting a star back. It's about the survival of momentum. The Fever's season is hanging by a thread, and without Caitlin, their guard depth is shredded. But the league itself? It's riding her wave. Sponsors, broadcasters, even rival franchises know it. Caitlin is the engine, and with that comes brutal pressure. If she comes back too early, she risks aggravating her injuries, potentially derailing, not just this season, but the future of her career. But if she waits too long, the Fever's season dies, and the league loses its spark right when it was finally catching fire. Every angle of this comeback is a gamble. For Caitlin, for the Fever, for the WNBA. And yet, the pressure isn't just about business or basketball. It's about her place in history. Legends aren't made in easy seasons. They're made in moments where the entire world is watching, waiting to see if you rise or fall. And that's exactly where Caitlin Clark is right now. If she returns and lights up the scoreboard, if she drags Indiana into the playoff fight, her story doesn't just grow, it becomes myth. The injured star who carried a league on her back and turned doubt into dominance. But if she falters, if her injuries slow her down, or if she's forced back to the sideline again, the narrative shifts overnight, from invincible to vulnerable, from generational to what could have been. That's what makes this comeback so powerful. Every dribble, every shot, every moment will feel magnified, because it's not just about winning games, it's about proving she can carry the weight of expectations, the future of her team, and maybe even the future of women's basketball itself. Caitlin Clark's legacy is standing at a crossroads. One path cements her as the face of the WNBA for years to come. The other opens the door for doubts and second-guessing that could follow her forever. And that's why fans can't look away, because this comeback isn't just about a player returning from injury. It's about whether a young star can transform pressure into greatness, or whether the very weight of her own legend will finally crack her. So here we are. Caitlin Clark has confirmed her comeback, and the entire basketball world is bracing for impact. But the truth is, this isn't just about one star returning from injury. It's about a battle far bigger than a box score. Because every time Caitlin steps onto the court now, it isn't just basketball. It's history in motion. It's a league trying to prove it belongs in the spotlight. It's a fan base holding its breath, desperate to see their hero rise. And it's a young athlete standing on the edge of greatness, carrying a weight that could either lift her into legend or crush her under pressure. If she dominates again, if she rewrites the script and drags Indiana into the playoff fight, her story cements itself as one of the greatest comebacks in sports. The kind that gets talked about years from now, not just in highlight reels, but in documentaries and Hall of Fame speeches. But if she falters, if the injuries return, or the pressure finally cracks her armor, then everything changes. The whispers of doubt grow louder, the question marks about her body, her future, her legacy, they won't go away. That's what makes this comeback so magnetic. It's not just about what Caitlin Clark does. It's about what it means for her, for the Fever, for the WNBA, and for the future of women's basketball itself. And here's the kicker. Nobody knows how it will end. That uncertainty, that's why fans can't look away. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Caitlin Clark's comeback will be another legendary chapter, or will the weight of expectation finally catch up to her? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And if you want to stay updated on the drama, the comebacks, and the untold stories shaping the WNBA right now, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust me, what's coming next, you won't want to miss.